Membership fees apply after free trial. Cancel anytime.
Can I be real for a second? That goal you have to exercise and eat better, you really can do it. But nobody is going to do it for you. And nobody has to, because you can do it if you have the right tools and a community that cares about helping you get results. And that's us, Beachbody. It's as convenient as your TV or laptop, but you need to decide that you're worth it. Let us help you succeed. Here's how. Go to beachbody.com to claim your free membership and start feeling great.
Hello and welcome to the Over and Back Classic NBA podcast. I am Jason, and with me as usual is Rich. Hello, Rich.
Hey, what's going on?
Well, we have one of the greatest milestone in sports has been broken by LeBron James. The all-time NBA scoring record previously held by Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, 38,387 points, has been broken in a very specific way that our listeners know about.
Absolutely. Yes. This is we all know how he did it, of course, and what an iconic moment, the way he did it.
Iconic moment, the way that he did it, the specific way that he did it, right. That we, of course, know and are not recording. We're not pre-recording this ahead of time and then releasing it after it breaks the record. Why would we do that?
We're recording this the day of, 2 hours before their game starts. Okay. All right, dudes. We know. We just don't want. We want you to know. We know. We know how he did it.
Yeah. Yeah,
but we don't want you to use your brain to remember how he did it. So that's just all we're doing here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we can tell you how he did it, but would that be any fun? I don't think so.
Right, exactly. Yeah, we're so attached to our phones, or we're so attached, to finding information instantly. Use your brain a little bit. Remember how he did it.
Imagine how he did it.
Yeah. Right, exactly.
Use your imagination. So, yeah, but we will tell you specifically how he got there. We will do that.
We can do that. Yeah, we got that down.
Let's do that. Yeah. Let's talk some milestones, like some major baskets in LeBron James' career. Let's talk about those. Let's do that.
Let's do that. Yeah. So we're this is gonna be all LeBron, but then for a little bit, then we're gonna jump into some other stuff as well. Other players that have set NBA all-time scoring records. There's not many of them because Kareem's had it for a while, and then another guy had it for a while that you might be able to guess, and some other people that had it that you might not be able to guess them as much. But we'll talk on that. Also, if anybody else has a chance to ever do this again, which seems. I don't know. We'll talk about it. At least not in the immediate future, no. But I guess somebody probably said that in 1995 as well. And then here comes LeBron James out of nowhere.
Here comes LeBron James. Yeah, exactly.
We'll see. So, let's talk about some of those milestones. The first points. Now, we said we're not going to tell you exactly how he set this record because you all know that. You all saw it. It just happened a couple days ago. But I will tell you how he got his first points. And it was a mid-ranger. Oh, my God, a mid-range jump shot. Can you believe it? Versus the Sacramento Kings about 3 minutes into his very first game via an assist from Ricky Davis, a real rarity.
Yeah.
Ricky, I don't know if he missed a shot and then it hit his hands and it bounced off his hands and over to LeBron or something, or a legit pass from Ricky Davis, but it was a pass from Ricky Davis. LeBron pulls up, hits a mid-range jumper, all kind of the awkwardness of, oh, man, how's this guy get? And it was like he looked like he belonged from that moment. I mean, like he looked like he belonged from the moment he stepped on a basketball court ever, high school to pro to whatever. But it was really cool. I remember watching this game vividly, and it was just from that point forward, it was like, oh, that dude looked like great. Like he pulled up, perfect jump shot, right in, went to the back, and it was like, oh, okay, all right, that's pretty good. This guy looks like he might be pretty good. And he was. He scored 25 points, had 9 assists, 6 rebounds. He was 12 of 20 from the floor, and pretty much belonged from day one, got that big steal, got that big dunk. It was just an awesome night for LeBron. This is the most points for a prep to pros rookie since Kobe Bryant. 10 points was scored by both Jonathan Bender of Indiana Pacers in 1999 and Amari Stoudemire of Phoenix in 2002. So both those guys, they had 10 in their debuts. Amari Stoudemire obviously went on to have a pretty great career. Jonathan Bender, not quite as much, but LeBron coming out of the gates as a high school, a prep to pro, and getting 25 points, 9 assists, and 6 rebounds, and being 12 of 20 from the floor. I mean, that's belonging from day one. That's like a guy who just felt like he was gonna be a thing. And and here we are, all these years later now. That was on October 29th, 2003, 20 years ago.
20 years ago. That's amazing, of course. And I mean, as you said, you look at the highlights of that game. He definitely belonged in the NBA right away, was a very good player right away. It did not take him long to become a great player already. And then, one of the best players the game had ever seen. Didn't take him much longer than that. It is pretty amazing the hype that he had which is pretty much unparalleled in NBA history up until that point in terms of what the expectations were. And the fact that he exceeded them by anyone's imagination is just pretty remarkable. And the poise that he showed and the skill they showed. Then that basket is great, but even better is I think the first play of the game is him, throwing like a terrific pass to get like an assist right away. And it didn't take long for him to show he belonged. That rookie year, he had some rookie struggles, but overall he was, he was ready right out of the gate.
Yeah, it was just remarkable. And like you said, there was so much in it because we all knew who he was. I mean, the hype train on him was just absolutely insane from day one, from high school as a sophomore in high school, getting on the cover of magazines, all the way to his games playing on in his junior and senior year on ESPN or whatever. Everybody watching, everybody knowing that he was going to be the first pick, getting drafted by his hometown team, and then having to all the expectations, this is the Messiah of the NBA. And it's pretty amazing that, with all that said, he just basically came in, played ball, and for 20 years now he's played. I mean, he hasn't had many other things other than obviously moving teams and going to Miami and that sort of stuff, which is so small potatoes in the grand scheme of things. Of like, what could have possibly happened, or what he could have done, or other things that people. This guy, like, he got what did he get? A Hummer? What was the thing in high school where his mom bought a Hummer? Like, they were like, oh, I don't know. See, this kid's trouble. There was there was that.
Right.
And then he went to Miami.
Yeah, he got some jerseys as gifts he wasn't supposed to, or something like that. So, piddly stuff. But and I think he was probably the first high school athlete, at least in team sports, that was pretty well known nationally by like regular sports fans. Not like hardcore NBA fans. I can't think of anyone. Maybe Kareem at some level going to UCLA, but even that, I don't think there was really, in high school, the fact that he was so prominent, that his games were shown on national TV, that was not something that happened that I can recall before then. So, well,
and like you said, nationally too, it wasn't just like, Kareem. If you were in New York, you knew Kareem or whatever. If you were Chicago, I know that everybody knew Kevin Garnett, but I don't know if people in California knew who Kevin Garnett was until he, debuted or whatever. Maybe, but yeah, right. Like that's, what I mean. Like I knew him, and I thought everybody knew him, and then everyone's like, oh, we don't know this guy, Kevin Garnett. Guy. It's like, oh, right, because you weren't going to his games because they weren't televised nationally. LeBron is on ESPN. Everybody's talking about him. He's on covers and stuff, and it's just pretty remarkable that from day one, game one, just belongs and just plays ball, and that's really what it has been. And the controversies are so stupid in hindsight. It's changing from Cleveland to Miami and then going to LA or whatever. Like, those are the controversies that he had. Like, that was it. That's it. Like, otherwise, nothing else. Like being weirdly passive aggressive about a lot of things. That's that's the LeBron James scandal that we've had. And just to be able to do what he's done, everything in the public eye, like from day one, just never been able to be a normal human, able to be a normal human, like his entire life,
and coming from incredibly difficult circumstances in his life, and being able to succeed in that level, obviously, really impressive. So next milestone. 5,000 points, January 21st, 2006. He becomes the youngest player ever to reach 5,000 points scored, 51 points, 5 rebounds, 8 assists playing against the Utah Jazz. This was the third of his 15 career 50-point games, including one in the NBA Finals. He was 21 years old. He needed 45 points to pass Kobe Bryant as the youngest ever to reach 5,000, and he did it. Kobe Bryant was 22, a year older, when he scored his 5,000th point. That's going to be a theme throughout these, in fact.
Yes. Yeah, get used to that, because we're going to go to 10,000 points here. February 27, 2008. Happy 21st birthday to me.
All right.
I probably purchased legal alcohol and watched this game, because that's kind of what my life hasn't changed much. I'm pretty much the same person that I am
very
now.
Cool guy. Yep.
Like, I'm going to do this. I'm not going to drink alcohol now because I got to work tomorrow. That's like, I can't drink now. I'm doing this show with you, and then I'm probably just going to go watch LeBron James play basketball. So, I'm 35. Not much has changed.
No.
Not pretty much the same stuff going on. So, this is a game. James is against the Celtics with the Cavaliers. He has a first half ankle injury. dooming his entire career. Not really.
Dooming, yes.
He comes back. He scores 26 points, becomes the youngest player in NBA history to reach 10,000 points. They do lose to the Celtics, unfortunately. This was a common theme of this era of the Cavaliers, unfortunately. And James reaches the 10,000 point milestone at 23 years old and 59 days, more than a year younger than Kobe Bryant, who hit the milestone in 2003 at 24 years old and 193 days. It took James 368 games to do it, the ninth fastest in league history. And in a very LeBron quote after the game says, "It doesn't make me happy to do it in a losing effort. To be in the record books is a tribute to my teammates, myself, and my family."
Yeah. LeBron was a bit of a boring quote, I would say. Well, sometimes, well, later on, I guess he would do some interesting things. But yeah, at that point, very cliche. But I guess being public eye, you're going to do that. You don't want that extra, pressure, or don't want that extra scrutiny, So yes, final line of that game: 26 points, 8 rebounds, and 4 assists. And we jump to a month later. He becomes the Cavaliers' all-time scoring leader, March 21st, 2008. He broke Brad Daugherty's record of 10,389, which had stood for 14 years. But first quarter layup from LeBron puts him atop the Cavs leaderboard. It took Daugherty 548 games to reach the mark. LeBron did it in 380. Final line of that game: 29 points, 12 rebounds, 5 assists.
There you go. So he's Cavaliers all-time leader. 20,000. Yeah. Moving our way up there. January 16th, 2013. So we're going to jump ahead a little bit here to get to 20,000. So with 25 points, 7 rebounds, and 10 assists, LeBron, now a member of the Miami Heat, dispatches the not quite there. The guys are somewhat there, but they're not quite there. No. Golden State Warriors. James shoots the jumper with just under 3 minutes to go in the second quarter to become the 38th player in NBA history to have more than 20,000 points. And as is the theme, and we're going to keep this going here, the youngest ever, of course, to do it, as James was a year younger than Bryant when he accomplished the feat. So they're pretty much on the same wavelength there. LeBron is just kind of a year ahead in terms of getting stuff done. Sure. Quote after the game says, "It means everything. It means a lot. First of all, like I continue to say, it means I've been able to be healthy, to be out on the floor and do what I love to do. I love the game of basketball, and I try to give everything to the game, and hopefully it continues to give back to me." And I just wanted to quickly talk about his health as well, which is something that is just absolutely unbelievable when you look at his entire career, the amount of games he's played, the amount of minutes he's played, the amount of things he's done. And that dude has never he had the foot injury with the Lakers, that first Lakers year. He's had some little things here, but like nothing major, never out for a real extended amount of time, nothing that felt like it ever slowed him down. No torn ACLs, no Achilles, nothing like that. And that is unbelievable. And he's still at 38 is doing it, still at near the top of his game. But yeah, I think that health thing that he's talking about in 2013, he's saying, "I'm so glad to remain healthy," or whatever. Well, all of his peers have dealt with injuries. Well, all the players before and after and whatever have all dealt with injuries. Here's LeBron, who's just chugging along with only like little bumps and bruises, ankles, little things here and there, but for the most part has always been healthy for 20 years. It's just absolutely remarkable.
Yeah. Now he's the more recent seasons with that he did have that 2019, that first year at the Lakers, he played 55 games. 2020 he played 67, but that was a shortened because of COVID. He played most of that season. He played 45 in 21, which was another COVID shortened season. He played 56 last year, and he's probably going to play around 60 this year. So it has affected him more recently, but I mean, a lot of that is also, or at least some of that is load management type stuff. Right. He's older. It kind of makes sense to pull him out of those games. So he still plays a high amount of minutes, especially for his age in those games, but he does definitely play fewer games. But for the first 15 years of his career, he had remarkable, incredible health, playing, 75 plus games basically every season, until his early 30s. So, for the vast majority of his career, his health has been there. And I remember, you and I, it would have been 3 or 4 years ago, maybe more. We talked on a podcast about the likelihood of LeBron breaking the scoring record. And, we kind of like looked at the numbers like, oh no, he can't, that's just, he's so far away from that. But then we looked at the numbers and we were like, gosh, yeah, he could actually do that. And then we did the math and it was like, oh yeah, if he maintains like his health and he maintains his production, like, he'll do it. I forget exactly when we predicted. We'll have to go back and listen to that, see if we got anywhere near close. But, his health hasn't quite stood as much as he wants to, but he's gone from, the last 2 seasons averaged 30 points per game. So scoring 30 points per game at age 38, which is way beyond what anyone else has done, obviously got him to that number, I think, faster than anyone could have expected.
Yeah, I mean, there just hasn't been a slowdown. There hasn't been a slowdown because of injury, and there hasn't been a slowdown because of age, and that is pretty damn remarkable. I think, it would have been hard to bake that in 4 or 5 years ago. Like now it's just like, well, yeah, LeBron, he's timeless. He's eternal basically. But 4 or 5 years ago, I'm sure we were like, well, at some point he's going to have to be mortal, right? At some point he's not going to be one of the best players in the league or the best player in the league. And shit, not really. Yeah. He's just going to continue to be one of the best players in the league, I guess. I mean, it's going to happen at some time, I think, right? Like maybe.
At some point, or retire, right? One of those two things. Yeah, so we'll see.
It's wild. But let's go to 30,000 here. Sure. Back on the Cavaliers now. Yeah, January 23rd, 2018. He is back in Cleveland. His jumper with time expiring in the first quarter of a 114-102 loss to the San Antonio Spurs put him in the rarefied air of 30,000 point scores. Only Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Karl Malone, Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, Wilt Chamberlain, Julius Erving, and Dirk Nowitzki are on the list. Youngest again, of course, he's 33, LeBron, and Kobe was 34. So same thing as always. Final line for that game: 28 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists. It feels like every game it's like 25 plus, 8 plus rebounds, and then 6 pluses. It's just like every game. It's just almost a triple double. Okay, cool.
All right, so next game, LeBron, March 6th, 2019, moves past Michael Jordan's 32,292 points on an and one layup in the second quarter against the Nuggets. This was during his first season with the Lakers. This was the year that his team did not make the playoffs. LeBron got a big ovation from the LA crowd. It was emotional on the bench during a break in the action after he broke that record. Clearly meaningful to him. His final line in this game, 31 points, 7 rebounds, and 7 assists.
Not bad. Yeah, not bad at all. And then 35,000. That's going to happen February 18th, 2021 at just 36 years old. James becomes the youngest ever to reach 35,000 points. Kareem did it when he was 38. Karl Malone did it when he was 39 in terms of games. It took LeBron 1,295 games to do it. Kareem did it in his 1,399th and Malone in his 1,370th. So final line for that game, 32 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists.
It's remarkable how consistent those are.
They're always the same
every single time.
I did make a note about this, and we did miss it in his debut game. LeBron's been around for so long that he debuted in that year in 2003 when the Kings were still really, really good. They won 55 games that year in his debut year. Yeah. Then he's been around for their entire 16-year playoff drought that will hopefully end this year. So he's seen like a record-breaking drought of futility from what he came in. This team was good. They've had a record-setting streak of futility, right? And he's still there, and he's still playing against the Kings. It's unbelievable. Hopefully it'll end this year. Let's see. We'll light the beam, and hopefully it ends this year. But it's just again another thing that just speaks to just how eternal he is in the NBA. It's just he's been there forever.
Speaking of Kings, we have now transitioning to the NBA's prior scoring Kings, the players who held the NBA's scoring record. First, we have Jumpin' Joe Folks.
Yeah.
1947 to 1952 is 1,389 points in the 1947 season in the BAA, the predecessor to the ABA, or the NBA, excuse me. Put him atop the leaderboard, one of the two predecessors along with the NBL, of course. He would stay in the league, now the NBA, until 1952, and George Mikan would snatch the crowd. And that he actually only led the league in scoring once. That was in 1947. And basically after that was George Mikan, who took the crown in 1952. Of course, he retired, fairly early, only played, 6 or 7 seasons in the BAA/NBA, but was still the first player to reach the 10,000 point mark. We talk about Dolph Schayes?
Yeah, let's do Dolph Schayes, because then he takes it in 1958. He joins Mikan in the 10,000 point club. and then broke Mikan's mark in 1958 to become the NBA's all-time leading scorer. And Shays would hold it into the 60s, a little bit longer than you might expect, all the way until 1963 when Bob Pettit takes it over. And now this is Bob Pettit in 1964. He's only going to have it for one season because there's somebody coming. You might know who that is. And this is fun because Bob Pettit, he takes the crown 8 years after he first leads the league in scoring. He led it one more time as well, but he gets the all-time crown and is our first player to hit the 20,000 points mark. So you can kind of see how longer careers and more points being scored are kind of working its way up and up and up. And Pettit now is at 20,000. But his reign is going to be very short-lived because Jason, someone's coming, and he is going to he's going to set a lot of scoring records. This person that's coming here, if you're thinking, mid-1960s, who is this? Well,
yeah, who could
possibly be this?
Who could possibly be? Who could have absconded with the record? It was Wilt the Stilt. Wilt Chamberlain holds the record for 18 years, gaining it in 1966, passing Bob Pettit's 20,880, and then finishing his career with 31,419. And that would hold for about 10 seasons. And then we would get Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. April 5th, 1984, Lakers center Kareem Abdul-Jabbar passes Wilt Chamberlain, taking a pass from Magic Johnson. Kareem launches. What else? It's the skyhook. Of course, it drowns in. Kareem is the all-time scoring leader. And this game is played, of course, in the NBA epicenter of Nevada.
Yeah, it's a fun. There's a lot of fun facts about this. So it's the Jazz and the Lakers.
Right.
It's in Las Vegas,
right.
Which is perfect for Wilt to show up because I'm sure like he didn't even know the record was getting broken. He was just in Las Vegas.
Yeah, right.
He's like, all right,
okay,
cool.
I guess.
They're like, well, you want to come on? He's like, I suppose.
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
Have you seen the picture's been making the rounds today? Did you see it? Wilson, he's wearing like a t-shirt, like a sleeveless t-shirt and like slacks. Like he looks like I don't know what Wilt was doing, what he was planning on doing, but man, he did not. It was not a 3-piece suit from old Wilt. He was here for other activities. I'm sure
would not have made it in David Stern's NBA. That's
no. Yeah.
That would not have been good. No, I've seen highlights of that game and from the Kareem the video that Kareem did. I had one of Kareem's home videos that I watched over and over again in the late 80s. So I remember that well. I remember Pat Riley talking about diagramming the play and Magic saying no one else is going to give him that pass but me. So it's fun times. Yeah.
It's cool too. We should know too. He does the skyhook over Mark Eaton as well, which is another awesome thing because it's like one of the NBA's best shot blockers, one of the NBA's best defenders.
Sure.
And Kareem just like it just hits a skyhook right over him, and it's like no problem.
Yeah, and they stop the game and they have a big, they hold a big ceremony in the middle of the game. I don't think it lasts super long, but they do. They stop it and they recognize it and they have a timeout and I think they gave him some sort of plaque or something and they acknowledge and then they play the rest of the game. It'll be interesting to see. I don't know if they've announced what if anything they plan to do. If they'll do that during the game, or if they'll wait till after the game, or
we already saw it, Jason. I don't know. What
yes, yeah. I'm sorry, we did see that. So
they did the thing that they did.
It was a thing that they did. So
they either did or didn't do the thing that they did or didn't do. We all know that,
right? I didn't know that Donald Rumsfeld was my co-host, but all right.
Right. Okay. My God, that's
sorry.
Please take that back.
Apologies. It was an unknown note. All right. And then, so Kareem would later say, when I broke Wilt Chamberlain's scoring record in 1984, the year LeBron was born, it bothered Wilt, who'd had a bit of a one-sided rival with me since I'd started doing so well in the NBA. I don't feel that way toward LeBron. Kareem would later say about breaking Wilt's record. It's kind of interesting. And it's also interesting that LeBron and Kareem don't seem to have a relationship at all.
Right. Yeah. There's been a lot of talk about that. And obviously we're recording this the day of the show. So, or the day of the game, but I'm curious if Kareem, I don't know if they've said if Kareem is going to be there or not. And I hope, now, hopefully you will all know at this point when you're listening to this, but hopefully he is there. I think that moment of Wilt being there when Kareem passed it would be awesome to see Kareem there
Yeah,
when LeBron
I
passed
would
it. So.
I would have to imagine he would be there. But
So hopefully, and it does seem like they were kind of, because there was a little bit of like at the beginning of the year, there were, I think they asked LeBron like, hey, have you talked to Kareem? And he's like, not really at all, like ever. So it was like, ooh, we were like, how icy is that? That's not going to be. But it seems like things have kind of cooled a little bit, and Kareem's at least open to. If he's saying, hey, Wilt didn't really like me, and I don't really care, I don't feel that same way about LeBron. That's good. I think that's nice, because I love the idea that the NBA is one of the great leagues where people are able to, that torch is able to be passed in person a lot more than it is for a lot of other leagues, just because players, we've talked about it a lot, like there's not many NBA MVPs that are dead, like most of them are still alive, so you can really pass that lineage on, and it'd be a really cool moment to see Kareem and LeBron there, and LeBron take the crown, and if LeBron ever gives it up to anybody else, he hopefully would be there as well. But for some historical perspective, at the point that Kareem broke that record, the NBA had only existed for 35 years. That's since the 1949 merger. He has held that scoring record now for almost 39 years. So he held the record longer than at that point the NBA had existed, which is just hard to wrap your head around. But
right, absolutely.
There it is.
Yeah. All right. So now, what other records might LeBron set? So he's obviously, he's got the points record. What else could we have? Well, let's also talk about what he's already first in. He is first in playoff points. He is 7,631, more than 1,600 points ahead of second place Michael Jordan, which is a lot more points than you might expect there. He is first in combined regular season and playoff points, which makes sense if he's the regular season leader and the playoff points leader. Leader in playoff steals, leader in playoff free throws, leader in playoff games, leader in playoff minutes played. He is the leader in turnovers, both playoff and regular season. He has a combined 5,897, which is more than 800 ahead of Karl Malone. He is the leader in combined regular season and playoff win shares. He has both the playoff and regular season number one in value over replacement player. He has the most all-star game selections at 19. He's actually tied with Kareem in that. And he has the most all-NBA appearances overall in 18 and most appearances on the first team with 13.
Membership fees apply after free trial. Cancel anytime.
Can I be real for a second? That goal you have to exercise and eat better, you really can do it, but nobody is going to do it for you. And nobody has to, because you can do it if you have the right tools and a community that cares about helping you get results. And that's us, Beachbody. It's as convenient as your TV or laptop, but you need to decide that you're worth it. Let us help you succeed. Here's how. Go to beachbody.com to claim your free membership and start feeling great.
Yeah, there you go. As far as some records that he might set, right now, most games, he's about 200 games behind Robert Parrish, and will likely finish the season 9th all time in the NBA ABA games played record. This is going to be tough. If he played every game the rest of this season and the next two, that would be 192 games. So he'll need at least 3 seasons after this one, averaging about 60 games per season. It does seem somewhat doable. I mean, if he wants to play that long, obviously, and if he does stay healthy, which again, we probably said 4 or 5 years ago, and now we look like idiots. But also, he's about 120 games behind Kareem's record for total games played. That's combined regular season and playoff of 1,797. He could break that next year if he plays every remaining game this and next season, and he plays a combined 20 playoff games. So, problem with that, obviously the Lakers need to be in long playoff series and make long runs in the playoffs. And right now that it doesn't look like that might be the case. So probably not next year, but could definitely do it the year after. And then his son, I mean, the Bronny might be in the league at that time too. And that has seemed like to be one of his goals to last as long as Bronny, and play with his son. So it's possible, but yeah, especially in this era that we're playing in now and the load management era and that sort of stuff, this is going to be a tough one. He could do it. And if he wants to do it, it's definitely doable, but it's just a matter of how much he really wants to work to get this record, which, might come relatively easy, but might take a little bit more effort than might be worth putting forward.
Yeah. All right. So most minutes, he is about 3,700 minutes away from breaking Kareem's regular season record of minutes played, which is 57,446. You need at least 2 more seasons to break that, maybe 3 seasons. Kind of similar with the games played. But for combined regular season playoffs, he's only about 1,500 minutes behind Kareem's mark and would likely break that next season, assuming any playoff, even one round in the playoffs and playing roughly 55, 60 games, he'd probably get to that mark. So there's a good chance that he'll break that next season if that all comes to pass. And then we have most seasons played. So Vince Carter holds the NBA record, 22 seasons played, the only player to have played 22 seasons. This is LeBron's 20th season, which ties him with Kareem, Kobe Bryant, Jamal Crawford, and Udonis Haslem, of course, who is, of course, still semi-active in the NBA.
With the gig he's got right now, man, he could last another 10 years.
Right, exactly.
Doesn't really have to do anything, and he keeps getting employed. It's not bad.
He plays like 5 games a season, so yeah. If LeBron plays next year, he would tie Moses Malone, Robert Parrish, Kevin Willis, Kevin Garnett, and Dirk Nowitzki at 21 seasons played. Haslam would also do that if he plays next season. That would also tie Dirk's record for most seasons playing with one team. So, tying Vince, I feel like 2 more seasons of LeBron feels like maybe not certain, but like close to certain, assuming health. Like that it seems like he'll want to play that long. I don't know if I really know why I think that, but I mean, I guess the one motivation, if playing with his son, if that really is motivation for him, then he would need to be at least that long. So that makes sense.
And then he can hold out for the other son too. I forget the one's but the one's pretty far away. But hey, what? That's if he's still feeling good, it's like you know what? Screw it. I'll play till I'm 48. I got time. Why not?
Why not? All right, most finals appearances. So he has 10 finals appearances right now. The record is Bill Russell with 12. So obviously the Lakers situation would need to change dramatically, or he would need to join its contender for that to happen. So what do you think? Do you think LeBron would just go and play for a minimum or a veterans minimum, like mid-level exception or whatever, I don't know, Philly or Denver or some team like that,
Can you imagine?
I'm
taking my talents to the Mile High City. Denver.
Right.
I don't know.
If you were going to pick a team to play for and be in that situation, Denver kind of feels like the one that would be because you have Jokic and you have a dynamic guard and they have a solid team role player. So or Philly, with Harden and Embiid, I'm sure there's but I can't imagine him going to Boston, and I have a hard time imagining him going to Golden State. So I kind of ruled those two out. But in terms of situations where he could win a couple of championships, those seem like the first 2 best ones off the top of my head.
Yeah, I this offseason will be a big determining factor in that. I think is that if we see the Lakers, I'm going to go on a limb here, and you might be listening to this later and go, "Wow, you guys are dumb." Remember when the Lakers, went and made that miraculous run to the finals and won the championship? Sure. Maybe we're going to be wrong, but at this time right now, in February of 2023, I'm not guessing that's going to happen. And come this offseason, it might be maybe LeBron does start to think a little bit more about okay, I set the all-time record. I did this, but now what else do I want out of my career? I did this. I want to continue to play until my son. But do I want anything more out of this? Do I want to compete for championships again, or am I just cool with this? I think this offseason is going to be a good determiner of that. If he just kind of sticks around the Lakers and just kind of whatever, whatever happens, then maybe it is. But I don't know. It does seem like there has been at least a little bit of rumblings over the last couple of weeks and months or whatever that maybe he does want to compete a little bit more. Maybe he does want the Lakers to get better and dramatically get better. And maybe he realizes he can't do that in LA. I don't know. It's going to be very interesting. I think this offseason is going to tell us that if he is going to just be a guy that just plays out the strings of his career in LA, or maybe he does one more Cleveland run or something like that. Yeah. Or if he does want to join a contender and bounce around, like you said, I think that'd be really, really cool.
Yeah, eventually. Yeah. So he has one more year on his deal in 24 season, then he's a player option in the 2025 season. So just for posterity's sake. All right, most field goals. LeBron is about 1,800 away from Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who, of course, did not make very many three-pointers in his career for regular season field goals. He's averaged about 565 per season in his career as a Laker, so he'd probably need to play at least 4 more seasons to pass Kareem. I don't think we can guarantee that one. But he is about 1,400 away from Kareem for combined regular season and playoff field goals. He has a good chance of passing that mark if he plays 3 more seasons. Also not a guarantee, but I think there is a somewhat of a possibility of that happening.
Yeah, I think that one that one seems pretty likely, especially with the way that the NBA is being played right now and the speed of the game, the amount of shots getting put up, and the fact that, speaking to the earlier point, the Lakers aren't very good, so he needs to do everything. It's like he's not the fourth guy on a team anymore. He still is the top dude. So the idea of him just getting a bunch of field goals up and still making a bunch of field goals is definitely likely. So I think this one, it's going to take a couple more seasons to do it, but I think this one's not probable, but I could see it happening.
If he plays 3 more seasons, then I think he would do it. If he only plays 2, obviously he's not going to get there. So, but we'll see. All right, the last one, most assists. What do you got, Rich?
Most assists. LeBron is 4th all time in regular season assists, which is where he'll probably end up. He's not touching John Stockton, who's at 15,806. He's more than 5,000 assists ahead of LeBron, so that doesn't seem like it's going to happen. LeBron is about 1,700 regular season assists behind Jason Kidd for second place, but realistically, it would take him about 5 or so seasons to get there, and that's if he maintains his current production, which is about 350 assists per season. So that seems pretty tough as well. He's 900 behind Chris Paul, which who is still active and still getting assists. So he's probably not passing CP3 unless Paul does retire after the season. Then it's still very much a maybe. So I don't think he's moving up anywhere here. I think this is probably where he's going to end up. As far as playoff assists, though, he is second. He's more than 400 behind Magic Johnson's 2,346. That's probably untouchable as well. And if you want kind of a comp for this, LeBron had 148 assists in his last finals run in 2020. So that's at least 2 more finals and another semi-deep playoff run in his career to get there, which just right now seems pretty unlikely. And pretty impossible. In a combined regular season playoff assists, LeBron is 5th. He's about 1,100 behind Kidd for second place. He might get that in 3 seasons, but again, like a lot of these playoff things, it's just going to require him to do a deep playoff run, which just does not seem like it's in the works right now. I think presently constructed, but
right. I mean, I think he's capable of one more great deep playoff run if he's on the right team.
Right.
But yeah, that he
the Russell Westbrook, LeBron James, Anthony Davis Lakers do not feel like they have one of those in them.
Yeah. Yep. All right, and now we have: will anyone break LeBron's scoring record? So we picked a few players that we feel like might have the best chance. First one, Kevin Durant.
Yeah. So here's the situation with Durant. So he is right now. He has 26,684 at age 34. So he's 11,703 away, or basically Kawhi Leonard's entire career away. All the points Kawhi Leonard has scored, basically that's what Kevin Durant needs to do from his age 34 to whatever season to get this record. So never say never in today's scoring environment, but that seems really hard. That's going to be tough. And Durant also hasn't been super healthy lately. So let's say that he plays 50 to 60 games like he did last year. Let's with the current, load management thing going on in the NBA, 50 to 60 games, he plays that every single year. He scored 1,643 last year. He needs 7 more of those seasons. So he'd have to do that keep that same production up that he had last year, playing the very similar amount of games. He need to do that for 7 more seasons. That seems very, very, very difficult. Now, Durant's still going to go down as one of the greatest scorers of all time. And what's also interesting too, and I wanted to point this out, very similar stories for both Russell Westbrook and James Harden as well, who were both just over 24,000 points in their careers. Those guys all played together. The Thunder, that team, the one that made that miraculous finals run, they have 3 players who might each score 30,000 career points, and they were all on the same team at one point.
Yeah. Harden, Durant Durant is nearly certain, I would say, to make 30,000. Harden, I think, is pretty likely. Westbrook is a little bit less likely, but yeah, just being at that level. And I think Durant could, he could end up being 3rd all time in scoring when his career is done, or 4th, behind Malone. I mean, he definitely has the potential to do that. Harden, I think also. Harden's about 24,000 points in his career, and he's a year younger than Durant, and it has been durable most of his career. Doesn't always look like he's in the best shape, but he's another guy I think is kind of a wild card in there. Westbrook obviously seems like he's closer to the end of his career, at least at the end of being a volume scorer at that level. So
Steph Curry, it's gonna be tough for him too. He's at 21,183. about 17,204 points away from doing it. Basically, Rudy Gay's entire career is what Steph Curry is going to have to score. And yes, if you were wondering, Rudy Gay is 10th among active players in all-time scoring.
And
so
he plays for the Utah Jazz, which I had no idea about until today.
Is a lie. You are making that up, sir. That is impossible. Rudy Gay, Utah Jazz. Okay, I was hoping you were going to quiz me on what team does Rudy Gay play for, because if you put a gun to my head and said, all right, what team does Rudy Gay play for before you said Utah Jazz, I
would not have known either.
I don't know that I'm doing this podcast anymore. I think that's it for old me. But anyway, yes, Utah Jazz legend Rudy Gay. So Curry played 64 games last year. He scored 1,630 points. He'd need 10 more years of that production. He's 34, so I don't think that's happening unless all of a sudden load management flips on its side and everybody plays every minute of every single game, while also still being in the same scoring environment. Then maybe, it can take some of those years off. But yeah, playing 64 to 70 games and scoring about 1,630 points, that's probably peak Curry, and he'd still need a bunch of years of that. So
he'd have played at 44. Yeah, it's probably not happening.
I like the idea. I love the idea of old ass Steph Curry out there, dribbling behind his back, shooting a mid range, shooting a from mid court, whatever. I like that idea, but I don't think that's going to happen. So
yeah. All right. What about? So we got some young guys who might do it. So we got Giannis Antetokounmpo, 15,706 points at just 28 years old. He scored 2,000 points last season. He just need to do that for 11 more seasons up until age 39. Not impossible, but yeah, definitely that is going to take a lot of work to get there. Anthony Davis actually at a similar boat. He has almost the same number of career points. He's actually only 1 year older than Giannis, but with his injury history, that seems basically impossible. So, and yeah, the really young guys who are, kind of young enough and productive enough where it's not impossible. Well, you got Luka Doncic. Seems like an obvious contender right now as of recording. 8,531. He's only 23, just turning 24 soon. He had 1,800 points last year in 65 games. He need like 16 or 17 more seasons of that scoring output to do it, being 40 years old. Having the same or similar output that he had when he's 23, that's forecasting too far to really have a good idea. And pretty similar story, Jason Tatum, he's actually at 9,218. He's about a year older than Doncic. He did score 2,046 points last year in 76 games. And Trae Young, also a similar story, 8,346. He's about 4 months older than Doncic. So the three of those guys, they're all young enough and productive enough where it's like, well, it's not impossible. But yeah, so much would have to go right for them to be that good and that healthy for that long. And it really just illustrates how special LeBron has been throughout his entire career to have everything fit into place to the point where, he is breaking this basically impossible record. And, with all these guys that we're talking about, we're talking about them as if they're going to be breaking Kareem's scoring record, but LeBron is obviously going to amass more points after breaking Kareem's scoring record. So how high do we think that LeBron could actually go?
Yeah, that's a great point. That all that stuff that we just did in the last segment was all like to match Kareem, but LeBron has matched Kareem, and now it's like, oh, okay, well, he can still keep going, and he might make it completely impossible. He might. We just laid out there every person that's in the NBA right now, and just how Giannis is the only one that of those that we mentioned where I'm like, okay, that I could, but then even then, like we're talking like Giannis has to be the same player he is right now in 10 more years. That's like most guys don't do that. Most guys don't do that, or Luka needs 17 more seasons of what he's doing right now to do that. I mean, that's wild, and he's otherworldly. But yeah, LeBron can keep going. It depends obviously on health and how much longer he wants to play and how much longer he remains a great or at least good player. He started this season at 37,242 points. We'll probably end the season somewhere around 39,000. If he plays 3 more seasons, averaging, let's say, 55 games, that's about his average games per season since 2019. And let's say averages 23 points a game, and that's kind of low because he's been averaging 27.5 in his Lakers career, and really outside of his rookie year, he's never averaged below 25 points per game. So we're saying that he's going to take a step, like we're baking in him taking a step back. That would still be around 3,800 points. So it's conceivable that he gets into the ballpark somewhere around 43,000 regular season points in his career, which is just nuts. And with one more deep playoff run or 2 shorter ones as well, maybe get into the second round, he could get to 8,000 playoff points in his career as well. So chances are fairly good that he exceeds 50,000 total points in his career. And as of this recording right now, he's at about 46,000. So, man, once he gets to those numbers, it's like, man, those are just absurd. Nobody, I mean, oh man, those are they're wild. I mean, Kareem had that record forever. Like you said, as when he got it, the league was still in its infancy in a lot of ways. And
sure.
He kept it for that long. And now LeBron's going to beat this. And it's like a very, very difficult record to beat, like an almost nearly impossible record to beat. Man, we might be seeing, I mean, tonight we may have seen it. We may have seen the last person to ever do that. And that's pretty remarkable.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the only way that it seems feasible is if like the scoring explosion in the NBA over recent years continues, and like if it's like it was in the 60s with guys averaging like 40 points per game, or getting to the era where where Wilt was scoring 50 per game, like something like inflation to that level is I think the only realistic way where it happens. But even that is going to be incredibly difficult to have. So yeah, I mean it's amazing, and LeBron is, we've had this discussion, of course, many times, and greatest of all time. I think you and I have pretty much always said something along the lines of, kind of take your pick, like LeBron James, Michael Jordan, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Those are the three guys who have the best arguments because of level of greatness, number of MVPs. All-time skills, all-time dominance, greatness at the peak, all those different measures, they all have reasons to say that, they're good or, the best candidate for that. With Kareem, one of the arguments, for at least for me, is that no one had been as great for as long as Kareem was. Well, that no longer is true. LeBron James has, basically has surpassed that at this point, which I'm not saying that I definitively am calling LeBron the greatest of all time. I still think there's, good arguments for all three of those guys. But yeah, LeBron now, I think, has made the case for being the best player for the longest amount of time in NBA history, making a very good case that he's had the greatest career in NBA history. Now, whether that means you're the greatest player or not, that's another show maybe. But, obviously, just cementing what is already one of the greatest legacies in professional sports history.
It's just, it really comes down to like what you truly, truly value in this discussion. And it's not a discussion I really like having all that much. It's kind of annoying most of the time that people have it. I mean, obviously I like having it with you because, we have a nuanced discussion or with listeners here, but like people on the streets, like if somebody asks me, I'm just like, I just say Kareem, which is great because then nobody asks me ever again. They're like, so that's been my default answer. They're like, LeBron or Michael. And I'm like, Kareem. They're like, oh, and then they just leave. They're like, this guy's a dork. So I'm just going to walk away. So, which has helped for a while, but yeah, it's getting tough. If you value longevity, which I do, I do think being great for a long amount of time should matter. And yes, Jordan's peaks were higher than anybody else ever. Jordan, what he was able to do and the dominance that he was able to have for a relatively short career in the grand scheme of things, like when you combine the two retirements and stuff, like it's not a short career, but it's a short career in terms of like all time greats because of those years off. But like, yeah, the highest of highs. Like he went to 6 finals and won every single one of them. A dominant player. I've always valued longevity, and that's like you said. I've always said Kareem was my greatest because it was like, well, he was great for longer than anybody else was great. He was great for a number of years, for almost
19 years,
19 years of greatness. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, LeBron's at 20 years of greatness and counting, and still going. So it's like, that might be it. I mean, that's definitely it's an interesting discussion. I mean, to me, it's always been those three for a couple of years now, and I feel like LeBron is probably working his way there. I mean, I don't really want to get into that discussion right now. You can appreciate all three of them. That's what you can do. You can appreciate all great players and just say, wow, that guy was great. That guy was also great. Oh, but for the purposes of this discussion, LeBron is definitely, he's making it more difficult for me to give that default answer of Kareem anytime anybody asks me.
Yeah. That makes sense to me. And I would say, well, it'll be, I'm kind of using the word interesting. I don't know if I really feel like it's interesting, but I'm sure, now that he's broken the record, that conversation will be had again. And there are going, I don't know if that's going to change a lot of people's mind. There are some people who are just going to say Michael Jordan no matter what, just because it would go against their religion not to say it's Michael Jordan. So, but again, he is a massive. He's the most points in NBA history and the fourth most assists in NBA history, and 4 titles and 4 MVPs and 10 finals appearances. That's a pretty strong case. So. But so and hopefully we've made a strong case for you to continue to listen to this show. If you are new to Over and Back, we have over 300 prior episodes that you can go back and listen to our takes on NBA history. Most of those shows, what we said 5 years ago still stands. They're very evergreen, lots of great historical topics. So if you're into NBA history, check out the archives, give us a rating, subscribe, do all that stuff that people want you to do. Give us a rating and review, favorable, and of course, we like those 5 stars. We're not into those lower star ratings. Yeah,
come on.
We're on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, all of them at Over and Back NBA. overandbacknba.com if you want to find all of those episodes. Did I forget anything, Rich?
No, yeah, we're on Instagram. We're doing a little bit more stuff on Instagram, Over and Back NBA on Instagram. So definitely follow us there. And I think you got it. Wherever you listen to your podcast, subscribe to us, listen to us. YouTube, a lot of stuff on YouTube as well. Make sure you go there, youtube.com/Over and Back NBA.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So thanks everyone for listening, and we'll be back again soon.
Membership fees apply after free trial. Cancel anytime.
Can I be real for a second? That goal you have to exercise and eat better, you really can do it, but nobody is going to do it for you. And nobody has to, because you can do it if you have the right tools and a community that cares about helping you get results. And that's us, Beachbody. It's as convenient as your TV or laptop, but you need to decide that you're worth it. Let us help you succeed. Here's how. Go to beachbody.com to claim your free membership and start feeling great.